Coming up, we're going to try some of the summer food offerings here at Universal Orlando Resort on this week's episode of the DIS Unplugged Universal Edition. Hello everyone, welcome to this week's episode of the DIS Unplugged Universal Edition. I'm Craig Williams and I'm also here along with Ryno Clavin.
Hello.
Yes, and he's going to be jumping in just a second or two, but we have a very exciting episode for you. We are back at Universal Studios Florida because they have summer food offerings out and about now because we are in summer. The crowds are here. The temperature is warm, and hopefully the food lives up to what should be a very good summer. I don't know why I'm saying it like that. That's very weird. Okay, none of that matters, though. What does matter is that I tell you that this is brought to you by Dreams Unlimited Travel. If you like our content and you want to support us, please consider booking a vacation through Dreams Unlimited Travel. It costs you no extra money, and you get the support of one of the awesome Dreams Unlimited Travel agents. So head over to dreamsunlimitedtravel.com today for a free, no obligation quote. Now, as I said, we are here today to try some of the summer food offerings, and I know there's a couple of the trucks that they've had now for what seemingly seems like years that rotate the menus a little bit. Like, I feel like you're always going to see, what's the one thing that's constantly on the menu?
Chicken.
The Nashville chicken, and then I don't even know why I brought it up in that way because I can't think about it. But Ryno is right. Nashville chicken's like the one thing that's like been on that one menu now for a solid year. So we tried to stay away from the food that was at the trucks. I'm sure it would be helpful to go and look at it, and maybe we will after we're done with the food that we are eating. But we decided to go to that booth that is directly across from the exit of Transformers as well as Mel's, you know, and very close to the creperie. It is used seasonally. It's used for especially the summer food festival, and they had a little bit of food offerings, so we said, why the heck not? And the two things that jumped out to us that are offered there, which it's not a big menu, they have the bagged lunch. For an adult, it's $18.99, or for a child, it's $11.99, and it's a pressed Cuban sandwich, then with a guava and cream cheese quesito, your choice of Yuca fries or Cajun chips, and it's served with mayo ketchup. And the difference between an adult and a child is they just give you only one half of a sandwich, or you get both halves of the sandwich. You get the full sandwich. Then they also have a Latin fork bowl that is $13.99. It has papa rellena, crispy mojo yuca, black beans, and rice on it. And the one thing we didn't get that's also on the menu is a watermelon and pineapple tahini bowl, which sounds very refreshing. Had we not gotten the dessert out of the bagged lunch, we probably would have ended up getting some watermelon and pineapple and tahini. It's always a great combination. But I guess I revealed one of the things that we got. It was the bagged lunch with the pressed Cuban sandwich, and then we also got the Latin fork bowl. And I think I'm gonna start with one of the Cuban sandwiches here because they did nicely cut them into two, just so that way it makes it easier for them to do their, you know, child size or adult size. And, you know, it's a very thinly pressed Cuban sandwich. I'm hoping that the Cuban bread that they used is delicious. In terms of meats on there, I'm seeing like deli ham and what looks to also be, I'm trying not to pull it apart too much here, but there's obviously the Swiss cheese on here, and I'm trying to get to the pork with it. And honestly, it looks like it would, do they make deli meat in pork? Because that's kind of what it looks like. It looks, at the very least, it's very fine shaved pork, but a decent amount of the Swiss cheese on there, yellow mustard, and a pickle. So it's definitely got the bones of a Cuban, but will it bring the taste? I don't think so. It tastes like a Cuban sandwich. The bread is actually really nice. It's very greasy. So I'm gonna go ahead and say I actually do like this. I don't know if it's because I'm just very, very hungry, but it's a good combination of flavors. The yellow mustard's just bringing everything to life. Love the cheesiness to this, and even though it just does taste like deli meat, you know, the flavor is still coming through. It doesn't taste as cheap as it looks, but at the same time too, you know, there's nothing better than a Cuban sandwich at, like, I know I go to Tampa to one specific deli, La Segunda, and I get my sandwiches there, and it is out of the world, out of this world, not just out of the world. And this does not compare to that. I don't even know if this would compare to the Cuban sandwich that they have over at Backlot Express at Walt Disney World. But I'm feeling it right now. Ryno, I'm gonna let you dig in, because you're probably getting hungry.
It doesn't look like the Cuban sandwich from the movie Chef, starring Jon Favreau, that's for sure.
No, it doesn't.
It's an unoffensive Cuban sandwich. I feel like it doesn't have, there's no bells and whistles to it, but it's all decent enough ingredients. And honestly, I'm one of those people that sometimes at a theme park, I just want a basic sandwich. Like, there are days where you're just eating too much of like all these other sort of more extravagant food items. So it's nice to have that as an option, I think. I do love that there are Yuca fries, because I love Yuca fries. So I'm gonna try these with some of the mayo ketchup that we got here, which I think is essential for Yuca fries. If you're wondering what yuca is, it is a root, but it is very similar in texture to a potato. These are pretty decent yuca fries too. I mean, it's not like, you'd think it's something you can't really screw up, but I have had some really awful ones before, because if it's not like treated correctly, it can be not great. But I'm actually gonna take this opportunity, while Craig's got the camera, to go in a little bit on our pork bowl. Or, that's not what it was called. It was called
the Latin fork bowl.
The fork, I was close, it rhymed. Which is the paparriena, which is like essentially meat, potato, and then fried. And it was one of my favorite, it's my essential, like whenever I go to Puerto Rico, it's my, like, I've got to get it from one of the food carts on the street, because I feel like it's just so good when someone hands you it piping hot and you're like, this is delicious, and you're just burning everywhere while you eat it. It's very good though. But this has that, this has the crispy mojo, yuca, and then black beans and rice. So there's a little sauce. I'm just gonna try a little forkful of the black beans and rice here with the sauce on top. That's pretty good. I don't know what the sauce is. It doesn't say. But this bowl was $13.99. And I'm gonna get some of the paparriena here. And then you can see a cross section if you care to later. I was trying to be polite about it, but I'm gonna take a huge bite, so don't judge me. It's not the best rice and beans I've ever had, but in terms of being for like a theme park, I really don't mind it. I find the paparriena is actually pretty crispy on the outside, and the meat on the inside has some nice seasoning to it. So I enjoy it. Honestly, I would ask for a side of this green sauce on the top of it, because I'd want to like straight up dip everything in this bowl in that sauce, whatever that is. You're better at that, so Craig, give it a try and tell me what you think it is. I think it might be like some sort of a pesto. I would say chimichurri, but it's too thick. But you try it. You let me know.
I'm not positive on that sauce either that's drizzled all over top of it. I mean, just taking it's like scraping a little bit and eating it like that. The first flavor is like, it's an olive oil based sauce, like right away. So that's the main flavor I get. I can't figure out if it's then like, it might be a little bit cilantro with it too, because I'm trying to like distinctly go for that soapiness that I don't ever taste with cilantro, and I think I do taste that a little bit in here, or it's just that I'm expecting that's what it should be, and then happy that Ryno didn't complain about it, that it was cilantro and a sauce in a dish. But that would be my best guess if I had to make a guess on it. I would say it's like some olive oil, cilantro, maybe something else thickening it up, but I'm very, very excited to get in on this, though. Ryno, I really can't expand on everything you said about it. I wish maybe it would be a little bit crispier on the outside, but it's still hot, and I really can't complain about it beyond that. But yeah, just maybe being a little bit crispier would be nice, but the meat inside is seasoned so well. It has that nice kick of spice in there. Like, not spicy, but just very, very flavorful. Like the corn texture of it isn't overly filling, corn, rice, whatever. Like, it's just the filler in it does not, like, it doesn't dominate the meat that's in there. So I really like that. Yeah, I like it a lot. But let me try some rice and beans. I'm with Ryno on the rice and beans as well. There are a lot in this bowl, so that's a really nice portion. You are definitely going to fill yourself up on just rice and beans if you want to eat this full thing. But you know, it's bland rice and beans. I don't know what else they would do to liven them up more. Maybe add some cheese or something with it, but for what it is, it's plain but unoffensive, and it would be filling. So yeah, not too bad. But let's try some Yuca too. I tried the Yuca with the drizzle, and I have opinions on it, but I want to try it with the mayo ketchup too, so here we go. I don't think one or the other of the sauces are superior in any way. They're actually both really, really good with the Yuca. And oh man, that's a tough decision. I think the mayo ketchup's definitely more fun to dip the Yuca in, but it really works with the sauce. And I'm really impressed with the Latin fork bowl. The sandwich, I don't know. Once we get to the dessert, we kind of justify it all together with the price. Maybe it'll get a little bit closer to where it should be, but for $13.99 for the Latin fork bowl, we still have a lot to eat, but I think it might be a steal. So we're gonna try to finish up most of this stuff while it's still hot. We'll check back in with the dessert.
So we wondered where the mojo came into the Yuca, and Craig Googled it, and it turns out it is the green sauce, is a mojo sauce. For some reason I thought mojo was like clear, because when I think of like mojo pork, I think about this like drenched pork in a sauce, but it's never green. But that's me, uncultured swine, so I apologize for not knowing that. But as Craig said earlier in the video, our bagged lunch does include a dessert, which is a guava and cream cheese quesito right here. And I'm gonna try a bite of it. I'm gonna be honest with you. For something I wasn't very excited for, this is actually pretty delicious. It's got some powdered sugar on here. I was worried it was just gonna be like baklava. Does that make sense? Where it's like a lot. Like, I feel like baklava always looks really good, but then I bite into it, and it's just like way too much flaky pastry stuff in it for me. I was worried that was gonna be this kind of same sort of scenario, but this is pretty good actually. I didn't see a lot of the cream cheese in here. I can see it now, but I think there's the appropriate portion of cream cheese and guava that kind of all works together in this like really nice. It's surprisingly still pretty warm too, but it's really good. This is actually, I think they should be selling this by itself.
They are.
This might.
Just holding it, it does kind of have the feeling of like a turnover or a Danish almost in a way, but I also understand, Ryno, where you were looking at this and also thought that it would kind of have that like baklava, but at least it doesn't have like the honey on top that then your teeth get stuck in, and I feel the same way as you, Ryno. I want to love baklava, but then I always get it and I'm like, meh. Maybe it's not so for me. Yeah. But I don't know why we're sitting here talking about baklava. This is not a baklava podcast, show, whatever. This is about this quesito right now, and I love the combination of guava and cream cheese, so I think I'm gonna instantly love this.
We'll be baklava right after the break.
This is one hell of a dessert. I will say that. It is still so warm on the inside, so it's causing the cream cheese to not like melt all the way, but it has that perfect consistency, and then that just blends with the guava in just all of the best ways. It's not overly sweet, even with the powdered sugar on top. The breading is so flaky on this. You know, if I went to a bakery and bought one of these, I would be raving about it there. So the fact that it's for sale in a theme park, that's actually, I think, a really huge accomplishment. This is very, very good. And if I was in the mood for a sweet snack this summer, I would probably come and just get this by itself. So good. So good.
The guava and cream cheese quesito is $4.29. If you want to buy it individually, I would highly recommend it. You know, honestly, the bag lunch, I do like the idea of it. Like, it's a really good idea. $18.99, it feels a little steep in one go, but if you got the Latin fork bowl for $13.99 and then the $4.29, you know, cream cheese quesito on top of it, it would be, you know, roughly just like right around the same price. So I think it's really just kind of like what you're in the mood for. In terms of which one I liked better, I think I liked the Latin fork bowl just a little bit better because I really enjoyed the paprika on there. That mojo sauce was really good, and it was a pretty decently sized portion. But you know, some days it's just so hot that you just want a sandwich, a grab and go. You don't have to stop when you got the sandwich in the baggie there. And I think that's a really good splitting thing with people, especially since it's cut in half real nicely like that, and you can just break the pastry in half. I don't know. So I'm not ranking one over the other, better or worse. But I will say the best thing was the guava and cream cheese quesito, and that I would highly recommend that. And I think there are some good options here. So if this is the first thing we've had, I'll be curious to see what some of the other offerings are for the event. But yeah, so far so good.
Taking a look at the food trucks, the one that's right outside of Fast and Furious Supercharged, as we said, has the Nashville hot chicken, mac and cheese, as well as a hot honey biscuit. So we weren't wrong about this. And the food truck in the New York section has arepas and also has esquites. So the arepas is what I could not remember, but they've had them also for years and years at this point. So those are the other booths. At $18.99 for the bagged lunch, I do feel like that was a little steep in terms of the pricing. I thought everything was actually pretty tasty with it, and if I was ever in the mood for a Cuban sandwich here, again, I would go for that. I think I'd probably opt towards the child size for $11.99. Now, you only get the half of the sandwich, but you still get the quesito and the Yuca fries. So, yeah, I don't. That's a tough decision to make in the moment, but just comparing it to the Latin fork bowl, I think the Latin fork bowl was definitely a better deal. I think it was a lot more flavorful than the Cuban sandwich was, but ultimately I think I would go with the combination that Ryno kind of said, that I would probably get the Latin fork bowl and then also get that guava and cream cheese, because that was just such a nice way to end the meal. I know we've been a little bit tough on their limited time food lately here at Universal, but at least these two options, while maybe not priced correctly or what we believe to be fairly, the flavors are actually, they're there and they're present. And you know what? I'm willing to spend a little bit more if it tastes good. And today it did taste good, but I think that's going to do it for this week's episode of the DIS Unplugged Universal Edition. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, hit the thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and leave comments, questions, and video suggestions in the comments section. And if you want to support us more, of course, you can always book a trip through Dreams Unlimited Travel. Get a free no obligation quote today at dreamsunlimitedtravel.com. And if you're also a listener, the DIS Unplugged Universal Edition, make sure to subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts, and if you can leave a rating and review, please do that as well too. But that's it for Ryno and I here at Universal Studios Florida. We'll see you again real soon with another episode of the DIS Unplugged Universal Edition. But until then, remember, we still haven't changed the name.